What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. All right, we're doing a special deep dive and a look ahead. We're doing both things. I got my snorkeling gear. All right, I got my scuba dive and stuff. We're looking at the team in depth through 6 games, and I'm also going to peer ahead to our biggest game of the season tomorrow night against Kansas. All right, the one we've all been waiting for, and the one we really hope we're ready for. All right. But so far, what have we seen? We haven't really played great. That's not surprising anyone with that statement. Through 6 games, we had a really good showing second half versus Indiana. We dug ourselves a hole, couldn't get out of it all the way. We've had some sporadic good moments in the 5 other games against less than stellar competition. We've looked really good for some stretches. But the main takeaway for me right now is we're 5-1, and that's exactly where I thought we'd be after 6 games. So are there things that aren't as smooth or look as good as I had hoped or expected? Sure. Has there been some worrisome moments where we almost had to, really find ourselves in overtime against NJIT? That was would have hurt and could have been one of those really, really season-altering losses, and you got to be prepared. Now, this game against Kansas isn't anywhere near the same type of situation. All right, I wish we could say it's a 100% house money game, and in the grand scheme of things, I guess it is. But with our out-of-conference schedule, it was our last chance to make a real statement. You get a decent win against Colgate. That's the best we could call it. It's a decent win. A win against Kansas is a huge statement. Even if they just lost the game against Dayton, it does not matter. You beat Kansas, you're clearly a team that has to be taken seriously. All right. Now, perception-wise, if we have a good showing and lose a close game against Kansas, we might still have that feeling as a program from a perception standpoint. Some fans, some analysts might see we're a really good team, even in a loss to Kansas. But when it comes down to bracketology at the end of the year and stacking up resumes, it's still going to be a loss, and it's not going to help us. All right. I think we really got to take advantage. Before the season started, I predicted we'd win one of the Indiana and the Kansas games. I said it'd be this one. We lost the Indiana game. This is the one we got to get. I feel like St. John's is really capable of picking off a team like Kansas on a home court. I say that in quotation marks, even though this is in New York City. It's not at the Garden. It's not at Carnesec Arena. We're playing them in a brand new place. Who knows what the crowd will look like percentage-wise. It will, it won't be an away game, but not a true home game. So we're looking forward to it. What has been some of the best things about the team so far? Well, I think we got our center moving forward. And I know Soriano hasn't been consistently good, but I think he's been consistently better than what we've had. And I think time and reps are huge with him. And I think a big part that's shown his where he's making his biggest, I don't know what you call it, imprint on the game. Aside from scoring in the paint, he's clogging up the paint defensively when he's in the paint. We'll get to that later on, but when he's in the paint, he does a good job of, if it's not blocks, deterring, not even shots, sometimes drives. We are giving up 43.4% field goals as a team on 2-point shots, which is a tremendous percentage when you think about it. That's 41st in the country. Last year, we were giving up 53% to teams inside the arc. Over 50%. So that's a 10% difference. 41st in the country against obviously not great competition, but it's still showing us teams aren't eating us alive in the paint. All right. In the NJIT game, especially, and that's just the one that's most recently on my mind, they had a handful of drives in the second half, tough contested finishes. So guys like Soriano especially, but also Wheeler, NY, Stanley, Champagny, they do a good job blocking shots, and our interior defense has stiffened up, I think. That's one of the things I look at as a bright spot. Our effective field goal percentage right now, 57%. All right, that's 50th in the country. So we're making a good percentage of our shots, but I'm worried about the shots we're getting. So right now we're able to make a good percentage of our shots. We're also able to get a good percentage of looks in transition on the break against the competition we're playing. I worry about the shots we're taking, but we have shown a good propensity so far to make the shots we're supposed to make inside the arc. I mean, if you look at our team free throw or field goal percentage, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you count NY, 6 guys shooting 50% or better from the field. All right, and that's not including Champagny, Smith, Coburn, or Wasu. So our guys you would figure to be some of our better shooters are below 50% from the field. Posh is 52%, Mathis is 58%, Soriano is 63%, Wheeler is 58%, Stanley's 77%. So we got a bunch of guys shooting a good clip from the field. We'll see how that stays. And defensively, overall we're giving up 47.3% from the field overall. So I said before. I'm sorry. Well, what I said before was 43% from inside the arc given up. We're giving up 47% overall, which is good enough for 111th in the country. So our defense hasn't been terrible. It just hasn't looked like it's causing as much chaos as it did last year. But there's still some signs that it's moving in the right direction. And I think as a collective group, especially if we keep Wusu and Mathis in the starting lineup, it's not our best offensive five, but defensively, I think it can really set the tone. Posh, enough said about him defensively, right? Wusu and Mathis both strong enough, physical enough, quick enough to do the things that Mike Anderson wants. I think Mathis has been fantastic. Wusu, I'm a huge fan. I think he's coming along great. The turnovers are an issue, but defensively, he does what Mike Anderson looks for. He can switch, play a couple different positions. And you got Champagny, who, aside from being the fantastic offensive player he is, he's a quality defensive player, gets his hands on steals, deflections, blocks, rebounds, all that stuff. So that 1 through 4 is a great defensive team. And Soriano, when he's playing in the paint, is a good defender. When he's stretched out, trying to switch out on the perimeter, he's obviously not going to be great. So with that 5 starting, I think defensively we can start to see our team grow and become a really good defensive team. And that's probably what Coach Anderson's hope is with moving Wusu in his starting lineup. That's what we saw second half of the NJIT game in overtime. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again tomorrow. What we're not doing great, all right, turning the ball over a lot. Turnover percentage is 20.6%. That's 245th worst in the country. Last year it was 16.8% turnover percentage, which was 72nd best in the country. We are forcing more turnovers by percentage this year, which is good enough for 19th best in the country. So, what I said earlier might not be true, but I have to think that the competition level has a lot to do with the turnovers we have forced. So as the competition level comes back up to a standard we're used to, we probably won't force as many turnovers, and we might be more inclined to turn over more, so that gap would shrink in. And our offensive rebound percentage this year is 34.3%. Last year was 29.2%, so we're crashing the glass a little bit more. Soriano is obviously a big piece in terms of offensive rebounds. I think Stanley does a good job. Wusu, Posh especially hit the glass hard on the offensive side, so we're getting more offensive rebounds. That's good. Our 2-point field goal percentage right now is 60.5%. All right, 60.5% from 2. That's good enough for 5th in the country. Last year, we only shot 49.7% from 2. Now, again, same thing being said, competition level, that's going to rise, so that will shrink a little bit. But it goes to show you, from inside the arc, we got more options. And I'm not forgetting about Isaiah Moore. Trust me, I've said from the get-go that's going to be tough to miss his inside baskets, but his inside baskets were mostly dunks, which you're going to make. And we missed those, but they weren't with someone guarding him. They were alley-oops or drop-offs he wasn't finishing with the defender draped on him, which doesn't diminish the fact that we needed those baskets and they were great to get. But the guys we have now, we can throw the ball into and they can make a basket while being guarded a little bit more so far this year in terms of what I see from Soriano especially. Champ's been great in the paint, and then Stanley. And I like what I see from NY. I don't know about inside, but in Wheeler, I wish he would go inside more. But Soriano, Stanley, and Champagny finishing great inside. And our guards are big and strong. Mathis finishes great on the break, and when he gets fed around the rim, you got to expect the shooting percentage he's got right now is only can't stay up where it's at. It's been so freaking good so far that it can only come down. But if he gets good looks, he's a super capable finisher. So that's 60.5% from inside the arc. That's a really good number to see, and it's hopefully something we can build on. 3-point field goal percentage, though, we're only shooting 34% as a team. That's 155th in the country. Last year, we were 36% from three. So, I'm sorry, no, last year we were 34.5% from three. So we're not really shooting less from three, but we're not, as a team, it doesn't feel like we've really found our rhythm from three quite yet. The guys we'd expect to be our best 3-point shooters, Champagny, Smith, and Coburn. Smith is only shooting 23% from three, Coburn 36% from three, Champagny 36% from three. So all three of those guys less than they were last year from three. On the other hand, Posh is up to 35%, Mathis is up to 38%, Wusu is up to 42%. So those guys will kind of all find their level, I think, and I would imagine it creeps up from that 34% we're at now to hopefully 35, 36%. We're giving up threes at a 36% rate right now, which is 264th best in the country. So that's an issue. Teams have been able to hit 36% of their threes against us, and we've found that those shots have kept teams in the game in the second half, more often than once this year. When I did the podcast at the beginning of the off season, right, when we finally had our roster set, I said my biggest question marks coming into the season were the front court and our facilitation / ball handling in the backcourt. I thought, what we lost out of the transfer market would really affect those two areas, and we had some unknowns. And so far, the front court, I think it is still our biggest question mark. Soriano, who I've been praising this whole time, can only play 20 or so minutes. If he can consistently play over 20 minutes, it's going to be huge. But if he can't play 20 minutes, that means there's more than half the game where our biggest player is going to be, not of center size. Whether that's Wheeler, NY, who's a little bit undersized for center, Stanley, who's undersized for center and a freshman, or Champagny in a really small ball lineup. So our front court, as excited as I am by Soriano's play, and I think he's a big presence when he's on the court, it's still a question mark. Can the three that I just included, NY, Wheeler, and Stanley, give us 15, quality Big East level minutes in the front court when it gets to, big games, tomorrow included? I'm sure we can get 5 to 10 minutes of Champ wherever we need him on the court, if that's at the 5 or the 3. But he's going to play the majority of minutes at the 4. Soriano, I think if he can, keep his wind and stay out of foul trouble, 20 plus minutes is great from him. Those rest of those minutes at the 5 spot, can we manage? Can we make do? And that's still my biggest question mark, and that's the front court. And then my second question mark was the facilitation, the ball handling from the backcourt. Losing Dunn and Williams, were we going to be able to create in the half court, take care of the basketball? I think it's 50-50 so far. The turnovers on our end have been bad, but we have had some good assist numbers. And we're assisting on 67% of our made baskets, which is good enough for 4th in the country. Now, a lot of that is, this might sound like I'm diminishing it, but a lot of that is we pass the ball around the perimeter and we find a guy for a shot he's going to take. We don't do a lot creation off the dribble and getting to the paint. All right, a lot of our passes are perimeter passes, on the break passes, or finishing passes, which is great, which is a good thing. Okay, so our assist numbers have been better than I expected. Smith is averaging 3 assists. That's a career high. Mathis is also averaging a career high in assists. Both those guys are averaging more assists than turnovers. Last year, they were averaging more turnovers than assists. Coburn is the only guard on our team right now who has more turnovers than assists. So as a team, individual-wise, we are showing a good propensity to share the basketball, but we're a little bit too loose with it too. All right, we're turning it over a little bit too much. I think Posh, especially, is showing a little bit of that. That brunt is starting to hit him in terms of the load it's carrying on him to be the main ball handler. Over 3 turnovers a game. He's half the game he spends on the floor because he's just always attacking the basket, leaving his feet, and he's a shorter guy and he's plays with reckless abandon, so he's always getting nicked up. So it's going to be key for those other guys, Smith, Pinzone, Wusu, people might not want to hear it, but to be much better taking care of the basketball and helping Posh take a breather while he's also on the court, not just when he's on the bench. We're giving up open threes, like I said. All right, so those are some team thoughts, okay? And so far, like I said, 5-1, we're able to get through that stretch unscathed. Is that how you say that? Unscathed? Unscathed? Anyway, 5-1 is probably where most expected us to be. Would have liked to see us play better in the games we did win, but still. All right, we're 5-1. We can look back and say whatever happened, happened. Season really starts tomorrow against Kansas. All right. And I will make sure that I put a timestamp on this, and I'll let you know when you can fast forward to where the Kansas preview is going to start. I'm going to talk more about just the players up to this point in the season right now on St. John's, okay? And if we're talking about St. John's players, we're going to start with its best player, Julian Champagnie, all right? The junior is averaging 21 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists. All right, so far his three-point percentage is down a little bit, but his field goal percentage is up a little bit, finishing great around the rim. His assists, his blocks, his steals all up, and his turnovers are down. So he's doing a little bit of everything a little bit better, which is a great sign. He's scoring a little bit more, and his three-point shot isn't dropping at the same rate we expected or as it did last year. So I think the 21.3 points is more points than I expected. I think maybe he'll have to work harder to get shots as the season goes. He might take a little less shots, hopefully, as the rest of the team gets more accustomed to how we want to play around him. But that three-point percentage goes up, stayed right about 20-plus points. I mean, he's right there where he has to be. All right, we can't ask much more at a champ. I think we could use him a little bit better. I think we could really, really utilize the fact that he draws so much attention to him as a shooter that if we used him as a screener, dribble handoffs, top of the key, think about how like Doug McDermott was used, that stretch 4 where if they, help off him too much, maybe Smith or another guard, Posh, gets that extra step advantage. If Champ holds on to it, he gets that extra inch advantage to shoot now because they just had to worry about the handoff. You guys can visualize it. But him as a screener, him as a ball handler, him as dribble handoff situations, I think can really, really be a threat. And we saw it for maybe 1 or 2 possessions last game, but it's something we got to look to do. Moving on to our next best player, Posh Alexander. He's averaging 14.6 points, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists. All right, that 6.5 assists leads the Big East so far. Positive side, 35% from 3. That's up from last year. 52% overall. That's up from last year. 89% from the free throw line, up from last year. 3.6 free throws a game. That's almost twice the amount of free throws he was shooting last year in a game. So that's a good sign. Him getting to the line is a great way for us to, it does a bunch of things. Gets their other bigs in foul trouble, slows down. It gives him a breather. It allows him to get some easy points, get a feel for the game, let him see a shot go in that's on a layup. Hopefully that can continue to give him some more confidence shooting from 3. His turnovers are also up though, 3.6 turnovers. So, he's being asked to do a lot, and you'd like that to be under 3, but he plays fearlessly, and we play as a team at a very high rate. Our adjusted tempo is the 47th fastest in the country. So we probably want to even play faster than we are playing right now. And Posh is the main key to us playing fast. So he's gonna definitely lead the team in turnovers. I expect that. I'd hope it come down just a little bit. Montez Mathis. All right, this guy has been the biggest surprise for me. I was such a Greg Williams fan, and for a while I was, saying how we would really miss Greg, and I think we do miss Greg. We could really use Greg. And I wasn't sure if Mathis could bring some of the stuff that I love that Greg brought. And so far, Mathis has done everything you could ask, more than you could expect. He's played phenomenally. All right, he's averaging 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. All right, he's shooting 37.5% from 3, 58% overall, 73% from the line. Those are all career highs. All right, he's shooting less threes than he ever has. He's shooting 20% higher than he ever has. It's current best across the board. All right, and it's been great. And hopefully he's enjoying this role, and he can continue to be happy in this role, and it can only get better. His percentages aren't going to get better. They can't get better. But he could get better in terms of, finding better shots. And even though he's making all these shots, some of that is luck if you're shooting that well so far. So he could still get better looks as the season goes on. His percentage is going to come down. We expect that. But defensively, getting out in the break, hitting shots that he needs to hit, taking shots when he has to take them, and then just being selective the rest of the way, he's been absolutely fantastic. And he's going to have a huge chance tomorrow against Abaji of Kansas, their best player, 6'5" wing, and that's going to be his first defensive matchup. We're really good to get to see what he's capable of. But so far, Montez Mathis has been unbelievable. Yeah, really. And 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Those aren't going to put someone on an all-league team, but he's playing as good as you can as a non-star on a team, I think, right now. Steph Smith, he's averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's taking much less shots than he's used to. He's passing more. He's turning over less. His defense, I think, is behind the other guards right now. And not to say he's a bad defender, but Wusu, Mathis, Posh, those guys are real physical defenders. Coburn has more length and more athleticism. Smith is a little bit behind those guys, I think, and that might hurt him as the season goes, unfortunately, from what Coach Anderson expects. Right now, he's only shooting 23% from 3. So I look at that as a positive. All right, some people might say, wow, he's not the shooter we thought he was. I say he's proven he's a three-point shooter. There's only one way that percentage can go, and that's up. All right, so what we've seen so far, we can also assume he'll shoot it much better as the season goes on. Hopefully, he can continue to make plays for others at 3 assists to 1.2 turnovers, I believe he's averaging. So Smith is averaging 1.7 turnovers. So 3 assists to 1.7 turnovers, which is good. Like I said, last year he averaged more turnovers than assists. His overall field goal percentage is at 45.5%, so that's not terrible. He's still making his shots at the rim in the mid-range, and the 10 points in 25 minutes. That's more than I would hope he could average. If he ended the season averaging 10 points, I think we'd all be really happy, personally. I shouldn't speak for the rest of you guys, right? Soriano, the big man, he's averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 1.8 blocks. He's shooting 63% from the field, 83% from the line. He was 54% from the field last year, 56% from the line last year, so he's up big ways on both those categories. The 1.8 blocks, that's up from 0.9 last year, and he's only doing this in 19 minutes. So can he consistently get over 20 minutes? Can he be a presence for 20 to 25 minutes in Big East games? Can we utilize him more? Can he look to finish and continue to be a good passer? That 1.2 assists, I don't think that's a fluke. I think he's shown the ability to pass. I really hope we feature him. I hope we go with him, tomorrow, even against a big Kansas front line. It's not a gigantic front line. He might even be the biggest player out there. If it's not McCormick, it's him. You know, they're both about 6'10", 250. So I say we go at him, make McCormick guard him. If we can get him in foul trouble. Kansas doesn't have the biggest bench in terms of size. Wilson and Lightfoot are quality bigs, but they're not gigantic. Wusu, he's averaging 6 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 75% from the free throw line, 42% from the three-point line. Those are both up from last year, so that's good. The turnovers are up from last year. He's averaging 2.5 turnovers right now, which is too much for him. I do think he's a really good passer. I've said it a million times. I think he's a good creator. I think he can play make. I want him to have the ball in his hands, some creating, but the turnovers have got to come down. He's not shooting as well from inside the arc this year. He was over 50% from 2 last year. He's below 50% from 2 this year. Hopefully he can find his rhythm a little bit more at the rim. But I'm a big fan of Wusu. His overall game, I think, is a big plus. Coburn, all right. After that great start, he's cooled down. 7.6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Like I said, he's the only guard on the team who's got a negative assist to turnover ratio. 36.4% from 3, which isn't terrible, but it's worse than he shot the last 3 years, which has been about 40%. One thing I did notice is he's only shooting 1 free throw a game so far. He was shooting 4.8 a game last year at Hofstra. So he's not getting to the rim as much. He's not being as aggressive. Maybe if he's able to do that, get some easy ones, it will open up his three-point shot a little bit more. I still want him to be aggressive, look for that shot. He might be a guy who needs to find himself more in a rhythm and get used to how he's going to be utilized minutes-wise. Shooters, you know, people always say shooting is a rhythm thing. You got to be comfortable out there, and if you're always, you know, if you're not used to the minutes you're going to get or the role you'll be playing, it might be hard for you to find that touch, which could be the case for him. Wheeler, 5.2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He's been catching some heat on the boards, and you know, I think it's just because the expectations were too high for him, and I tried to limit those expectations. We've seen the player he was for 3 years at Purdue, and I'm kind of actually happy with the production he's had. You know, he's averaging career highs in points, rebounds, and assists, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, all career highs. But he needs to buy in more to being a physical presence, I think. If he wants to see his minutes increase, he's got to buy into getting us some inside baskets, defending the post. But his production hasn't been terrible. He's shooting 58% from the field, 37.5% from 3. He moves his feet well on defense. He tries to do a little bit too much sometimes with the ball in his hands on the break. I think he can play a key role in this team. I just think it's a little bit of us not knowing how to utilize him and him not buying into whatever best way it might be. You know, we don't need him to try to be playing like Champagne. We need him to be trying to play more like Soriano. I know he's not built anything like Soriano, but, you know, Isaiah Moore would be a more apt comparison, all right? Catch some lobs, be a presence, you know, altering shots, et cetera, all right? Omar Stanley, 3 points, 2 rebounds. His minutes have kind of shrunk since the first couple of games. He hasn't been getting many looks, not being focused. He is the freshman piece in the front court, so that makes sense. I would like to see him be more aggressive, looking for his own shot, and for us feeding him the basketball. Still, 77% from the field through 6 games as a freshman. That's a good sign, no matter how you look at it. I think he's averaging 2 fouls in 11 minutes, so he's got a little propensity to foul right now. That's, you know, common for young bigs. He'll get more used to playing without fouling. But I think Stanley and Soriano combined right now have, how much is it? 29 field goals. And I would imagine all 29 of those field goals are in the paint. If not in the paint, maybe 1 mid-range shot. All right, so 29 paint shots. Josh Roberts all of last year had 29 shots, made shots. And I would imagine all 29 makes were inside the paint. All right, so Josh Roberts for a while, you know, Big East play pretty much the whole season, was our starting center, was playing 15 or so minutes. And throughout the whole year, he made 29 baskets. This year, Soriano, Stanley have made 29 baskets combined already. So that just shows you we have some more options getting shots inside the basket. We got to make up for Moore's play, but I think I've said that all along. that's a big thing you got to make up for. So hopefully we can continue to do that, and NY might play a part in that. He got more minutes last game against NJIT, played good defense. I think what I like is when he's got the ball on offense, he doesn't feel the need to do too much. He's been patient. He's allowed people to cut. He's fed cutters. He's had a couple nice passes on backdoor cuts. He's taken 1 3, didn't look terrible. I don't by any means want him taking a bunch of threes, but he didn't look like a guy who would try to do too much on offense, would let the game come to him, and he wouldn't be a liability out there. So that's a start. I like a guy who doesn't have to score to be effective. And he can block shots, he can slide his feet, and he's physically bigger than Wheeler is. And Stanley in terms of covering ground in the post, I think. But Stanley's got a little more bulk, and I think as he progresses as a player, could be a nice post defender. Pinzone, been hurt since the Indiana game, where he showed a nice little second half there, some guts, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He's got 6 assists, 4 turnovers so far through the year. He's 2 for 5 from 3 so far through the year. Both those things are good signs. I think he'll be, a very capable 3-point shooter as his career goes on, and obviously a nice passer, a big-time playmaker. And we're going to need that as this season goes on. So looking forward to him coming back. His size is big, legitimate 6'5", with length, can really disrupt on defense, and it's a nice contrast to what Posh brings. And then NY, 1.3 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1.3 blocks. I see potential, Like I said, he's not nervous with the basketball. Defensively, he's got some skills, and he's going to get, we're going to need some minutes from a big, so he's going to get plenty of options to showcase what he's capable of. All right. And that's basically our team right now. All right. And you guys have seen him for 6 games. I stress not getting too worked up. Looking at the games ahead for St. John's, just as the season goes on, if we just want to look at top 75 opponents according to Ken Palm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 counting Kansas, top 75 games, all right? And his top 75 game at home is a quad 2 game. So at worst, those are quad 2 opportunities, 13 quad 2 opportunities left in the season. I could break that down and look at quad 1s. We won't worry about that. But we're going to have opportunities, all right? That's 12 Big East opportunities right now as it stands against top 75 teams. And that's a lot. That's a lot. So our team is 5-1. We have the talent to compete against anybody. We control our own destiny. I see a lot of potential. I see the ability for this team to find itself as the season goes on. We've got our leading scorer. We've got our point guard. We've got some pieces capable of doing other things. Are they going to emerge and solidify themselves in those roles? Can Soriano become a legitimate third option, or maybe even really your second scoring option, I think. I don't know if Posh, as much as I love Posh, I don't know if he's the best second scoring option on the team. He's got the ball in his hands a lot. He's capable of getting to the rim, capable of hitting shots, but he's not a natural scorer. I think Smith is more natural scorer. I think Soriano, as a post option, is a better scoring option than Posh looking for his own shot. I think Posh scoring that 10 to 12 points and finding everyone else their shots is the best for our team. Hopefully someone else can emerge and be our second scoring option. I think it could be Smith. I think it could be Soriano in the post. Those are my 2 biggest, guesses in terms of that. I don't think Coburn is going to get the minutes that Smith will. I don't think Mathis will be the threat offensively that Smith is as the season progresses. I don't see anyone else in the front court being an option there. But I see it. I can see it coming together. This 5-1 start with some sluggish performances doesn't scare me away from what this team's potential could be when they find themselves. It's not a shoo-in, and I said that all along. There's a life, a world we live in where St. John's doesn't make the tournament this year, all right? Because college basketball is a crapshoot. But there's a world where this team comes together and we can beat any team in the Big East, and we find ourselves and we start doing that. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised if we win 14 games in the Big East. That wouldn't shock me. All right, I'm not predicting it. I don't expect it, but it wouldn't shock me. I'd be shocked if we win less than 8 games. I wouldn't be shocked if we win 14 games. I think the potential is still there for us to have a really good season, more so than us to have a total failure of a season. All right. So let's stay confident. Let's stay positive. Let's go out there against Kansas tomorrow, which I'm about to get into, and let's really show the country what St. John's is all about, people. All right. Against the Kansas Jayhawks. So, Kansas, they've got 4 players that play the majority of their minutes. All right, 4 key guys that play over 25 minutes a game. All right, that's Okai Abaji, Christian Brown. It's spelled Braun, but they pronounce it Brown. DeJuan Harris and Remy Martin. All right, the 4 of those guys play a big bulk of minutes. David McCormick, their center, plays 19 minutes. Jalen Wilson, forward on the bench, plays 18 minutes. Mitch Lightfoot. How'd I get in here? All right, but talking about Kansas. All right. Those best players. All right, let's start with Remy Martin. All right, 6 foot, 175 pounds, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Good shooter from 3, 44%. We've seen him a few times from his Arizona State days. I personally think he's a little bit overrated. He's kind of reckless, although he's not averaging more. He's only averaging 1.7 turnovers per game right now. I've always thought he's kind of reckless. Doesn't take the best shots, but right now he's taking and making good shots. So he's certainly capable of having a great game against us like he's had in the past. It's a good opportunity for Posh to showcase himself against a point guard who's, established himself on a national level. DeJuan Harris, their backcourt mate. He's not a scoring option. He's kind of the facilitator of the two. 3 points, 4 assists. He's 0 for 5 from 3 on the year. He made 9 threes last year as a freshman, so he hasn't been a shooting threat. Okai Abaji, their best player, 6'5", 215, 23 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 42% from 3 so far in the year. So he's a capable shooter, big-time athlete, physical guy. Like I said, this is probably Mathis's matchup. A great chance for him to showcase himself against a big-time scorer, someone who's on some preseason lists, All-American lists. All right, so this is the guy. This is their player, and it's Mathis's chance to showcase what he's got on the defensive side. Christian Brown, like I said, it's spelled Braun, but it's pronounced Brown for whatever reason. 6'6", 220, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. This is probably Champ's matchup. Good player, good athlete, can get to the rim, can shoot it from 3. He's been a better 3-point shooter in the past. He's off to a kind of slow start so far this year, but not a guy you can leave open. And their center, David McCormick, 6'10", 250. He's averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds. Big physical guy. He's not as beefy as Soriano. He's more muscular build, but they're about, the same size. I wouldn't say one guy's got the advantage physically over the other. Off the bench, Mitch Lightfoot, the ex-Johnny recruit. I think this is his 5th year now. He's 6'8", 230. He averages 5 points, 3 rebounds. He's a physical kid. He's not the most imposing presence, but he likes to get physical, and he wouldn't surprise me if he's the guy that beats us with some bullshit, like 5 for 6 game with a couple dunks. We got to make sure he doesn't kill our bench bigs tomorrow. Jalen Wilson, talented sophomore. He had the DWI incident earlier this year. DUI, DWI, don't quote me on it. I'm sorry. 6'8", 225. He's only averaging 4 points and 4 rebounds so far this year. But last year, he averaged 12 points and 8 rebounds. So he's talented. He's versatile. He's another guy coming off the bench who could, hurt our big depth. Our bench big depth. Joseph Yusefu, the Drake transfer. He's only averaging 3 points and 1 assist, but he's another guy who's really capable. 13 points last year at Drake. He's a little bit more physical than the 2 starting guards. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays more to help combat the size we have with Wusu and Coburn and Mathis as guards. And then our old friend Jalen Coleman, Lands. This is his 6th season in college basketball. 6'4", 190. He used to be at DePaul a few years back. Last year, he averaged 14 points a game at Iowa State. This year, he's only averaging a couple points and not getting many minutes. But those guys on the bench are talented, experienced guys. They just don't go as deep. He self-utilizes a bunch of guys, but those bench guys don't get as many minutes as our guys do. But they're talented, and we'll see if we can get to that bench, and then we could take advantage of it. Keys to the game. All right, for tomorrow. Turnovers. All right, we got to limit our turnovers. All right, we can't be throwing the ball around. We got to take real advantage of the shots we can get, and we've got to, on the other hand, create some turnovers. All right, that's when we're at our best. When we're creating turnovers, creating havoc, creating some type of mayhem, getting out in the break because of it, and not letting teams get comfortable. So, can we win the turnover battle tomorrow? Establish an inside game. All right, go early with Soriano. Let him work inside. Let's not settle for jumpers early. Let's get some paint touches. Let's get to the rim. Let's get some baskets inside the paint. All right, early and often. See what we can do. If it's not working, then we work outside. All right, but I want to go with Soriano early instead of trying to find it late. I think that's big. And we got to keep those guys off the glass. Talking about insides play. All right, Kansas is the 60th best offensive rebounding rate team in the country, so they like to get on the boards. We can't give up a bunch of rebounds, all right, like we have against these smaller teams like NJIT. We got to get defensive rebounds, close out possessions. It'll be huge in the second half if we are to be in this game against Kansas. And the last key, I say our bench vets got to step up, all right? I think we're going to start Wusu tomorrow, so I'm expecting Smith, Wheeler, and Coburn to be off the bench. Those are 3 guys with over 15 years of college experience. Coburn's in his 6th season. Wheeler and Smith are both in their 5th season as college basketball players, okay? They have some offensive talent and some offensive punch. Can those 3 guys outperform Lightfoot, Wilson, Yusefu, Coleman Lands? All right, can they get us about 25 points? I think it'll be huge if our bench can get us 25 to 30 points tomorrow. I'm excited for the game. I think our guys will be ready. I think we'll step up to the level of competition. No matter what, I expect it to be a close game. But I am going to stick to my prediction I made before the season started, that we will get this home win against Kansas. All right, my prediction is we come out hot tomorrow. All right, we have the lead at halftime in a close game. And in a back-and-forth game, we take control and win 83 to 77. 83 to 77, good guys. Get the parade ready. All right, cancel your plans for Saturday morning. It's going to get hot and heavy. All right, can't wait, guys. Thank you very much for listening to this. I know it's been a long one. I need a drink, let me tell you. I'll put some notes on the bottom to let you know where you can find the different parts of this episode, because I know it's been a little bit jumbled, and I'm sorry. All right, but thank you very much for listening to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I am Pat Kane, as always. You've been listening to my man Justin Simon, and peace.